Wow, we've got pickleball royalty here today. We've got, whack over the head. Thanks very much, Jen.
Nice.
We've got, at a great expense, Jen Ramamurthy, who's the Australian Pickleball Association President. So welcome, Jen. Thanks for dropping in.
No worries, my pleasure. I'm really excited to be here. And I'm not president, I'm just board chair.
You're just board chair, sorry.
No such thing as president of Pickleball Australia president, and that's a good thing.
Right.
Talk to the microphone.
Okay, so thanks for joining us down here on the Gold Coast today. That's the first Pickleball Australia Seniors tournament. So, yeah, it seems to be going well, even with the weather delays.
Yes, really positive feel out here. Everyone's really enjoying themselves, and there's some good matches happening. I've been watching some great rallies.
Good. Jen, just give us a little update on where you see pickleball, where it's going currently. I believe you've just appointed someone to give you a hand.
Yep, Brendan Lee. He's a great appointment into the executive officer position and has sort of stepped into the role really comfortably and is doing a great job so far.
Okay. You seem to be breathing a bit easier as a result. Is that right?
Yes, of course I am. I think what it's done is it's enabled me to be able to start looking at other things and look more at our strategy moving forward as Brendan worries about the more day-to-day issues that occur with pickleball.
Mm-hmm.
And he's also focusing on developing our brand and developing our connection with businesses and the community.
Okay, Jen, is it true? I heard a little rumour that after the Australian Tennis Open this year that there was a little meeting held that you were involved in?
There was a meeting with Tennis Australia,
yes.
And we're speaking to them at the moment.
Okay.
And nothing's been formalised, but we're looking at hopefully working with Tennis Australia in some way, shape or form.
Yep.
And potentially across working with facilities. Obviously, there's lots of tennis clubs, especially in the regional areas where having pickleball would be beneficial.
Yep.
But at present, nothing's been decided yet. But we're having good conversations.
Yeah, it seems to be there's a strong movement in regard to state, like Queensland's Tennis Association, New South Wales Tennis Association. They seem to be coming on board with pickleball, but it's really hard to get to that grassroots level where you come down to club level. We've seen that on the Sunshine Coast, especially on the northern side of the Sunshine Coast. We're just having real trouble getting that synergy going between pickleball and tennis.
It will come.
It will come.
It just takes time.
Yeah.
And it takes working out exactly how you want it to work. You want both. The most important thing is that you want both sports to be able to thrive.
Sure.
And work compatibly.
Yep.
And
not to be seen as a threat. Yes.
And we're not a threat. They're very different sports. They cater for very different types of players.
Yep.
And obviously very different demographics, which is one of the reasons that pickleball seniors is such an early development in the development of pickleball in Australia. Is that we have a large number of people that are our average age at the moment is 59.
Mm-hmm.
We have a large number of players in the 50 plus and 60 plus demographic. So we want to be able to make sure that we support them and that we provide them with the playing opportunities, as many as possible.
Yeah. Because the feedback we were getting before this idea came up about the seniors was there were a lot of players that were semi-retired and retired who wanted to dip their toe into tournament play, but most of the tournaments that were set up weren't really catering towards 60-plus players. So we just felt there was a need there to get them and to encourage them to have a go at tournament play and see whether it suits them or not.
Yeah, I think there was a space there for the 60-plus players, but I think it was tending to be for players who were already on the court and feeling confident.
Yes.
This pickleball seniors approach will help support new players and people who are just coming back into sport after a long time out, who aren't necessarily as confident about entering a tournament, but if they see it's focused solely on their demographic,
yes.
It provides a really supportive environment for them to start being introduced to the concept.
Yes, like some of them were entering tournaments, but the feedback we were getting was they had to play in lower age groups and they were getting smashed. So, by having these age groups, we're hopefully alleviating that thrashing of teams because they're entering right age divisions.
Yeah, well, part of it is that there'll be more of those ages able to enter in these tournaments or feel more comfortable doing it.
Yes.
And that will be that will then result in enough players at that age bracket being there, and we get tournaments where people are playing their own age group.
Yeah.
And that's really positive.
Yeah, we've noticed at our club at Noosa, the last 2 years when our doubles classic has been run, we've actually set the Saturday aside for lesser skilled players, lesser rated players, and the take up of that has been fantastic. Yeah, so Saturday for the people that, lower ranked, and then Sunday for the more skilled players, and we think it's a great combination.
Yeah, it is. And one of the top priorities for Pickleball Australia is that because this is such an accessible sport, and two, has the capacity to be highly inclusive. It is not just for elite. It is not just for young. It is not just for the strong and the fit and the trainers, but it's for everybody to be able to get on a court.
Yep.
And so we have to remember that and make sure that we're providing competitive opportunities for all levels.
Yep. It was great. There was a little bit of concern. There's tournaments popping up all over the place. I mean, there was another one released overnight. It's just tournament play is just booming. There was some concern amongst clubs that they were conflicting, running on the same weekends and stuff like that. But there's been a recent example of how much of a demand that there is, because the Noosa Classic was run on the same weekend as the New South Wales Open. The New South Wales Open had roughly how many participants?
Nearly 300.
300. So at the Noosa tournament, we got about 180. So it just shows you that the demand is there for tournament play.
Yeah, it is. And what it will be is it's about coordinating the calendar so that there's different types of tournaments happening on the same weekend. There's going to be clashes. We only have 52 weekends in a year, and not all of those are going to be available for tournament play.
Yes.
The advantage with seniors, though, is that there is also the capacity with this demographic to be able to play tournaments midweek.
Yes,
and you're
that's
targeting
right.
You're targeting a time of the day or a time of the week when often your younger players are not available.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other side of it that we'll look at.
Yes.
But clashes will continue to increase and grow. Our hope is to try and protect the major tournaments and create a calendar or a plan that supports different types of tournaments for different players on the same day, so that we don't create clashes that cause conflict about where players want to play.
Sure. Yep. And there's some fun tournaments as well. I mean, the Slam Jam's a perfect example of a fun tournament. Loud music, really Americanised and everything like that. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but there's a niche market there.
There's capacity for all sorts of different tournaments. I would love to run a tournament where it was 100. The age brackets are 100 plus. 110
Yeah, great idea.
20 plus, 130 plus.
Yes.
And I want to play with one of my 76-year-old mates in one of those tournaments and get into the 130 plus age bracket. That would be brilliant.
Yes. Yep. No, there's so much scope for so many more tournaments with varying criteria. So. Yeah.
No, it's an exciting time for Pickleball in Australia. There's been dramatic growth in our membership, and while we probably have about 20 to 25,000 people playing Pickleball in Australia now,
How many, Jen?
20 to 25,000.
Wow.
So they're out there all playing and loving the sport, but obviously membership to a club, membership to a state association is something that's still
Lagging?
is second. There's always lags in every sport because there's got to be reasons for joining. And one of our challenges for this year is developing reasons for people to become members. Why should they become members?
Yep.
One of it is access to tournaments, which is important. It's protecting players who are in tournaments, so we know that everyone is insured and looked after. But we need to also have other reasons, and that's what we're working on at the moment, to make sure that we give members value for their membership fees. Our numbers, in saying that, our numbers are growing in about 100.
Wow. Yeah.
Every time we look at the numbers, we go, oh no, it's jumped. And it continues to jump. So thank you to everybody out there who does join Pickleball Australia, because without those membership fees and without joining, we can't do any of the development work that's required to make this sport winning.
Yeah, and get it into schools and things like that.
That's right.
Yeah. So hopefully Brendan's giving you a big hand with that.
Brendan's been fantastic.
Yeah. He's around too today, isn't he? Yeah. Might get him to do a little interview later on.
Oh, I'm sure he'd be happy to.
Yeah.
He's doing a great job, and we're here. We'll be having some meetings today while we're down here.
Oh, good.
So we try to make the most of the chances we get to meet together, because obviously he's based in the UK.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So we've got a bit of rain at the moment.
Yes, we've got another little squall come through. Yeah, it's very scattered. We get this little squall come through. This is the third one we've had. Usually leads to a delay of roughly about half an hour, and then volunteers, well, they're back on the court squeegeeing as we talk. So guess who it is? Paul Boniface. God, he's a hard worker.
He's a worker out there.
Yeah, look at that.
And, and I think the positive feel that is here today is great. I would encourage anyone who's over 60. I got asked if I was playing today, so I was really glad I could just say, no, I'm still too young.
Okay.
not long. But it's great to see the feel out here and to see people coming from everywhere to this event. We've had people, how far have they come for?
From Western Australia.
Okay.
Yeah. Victoria, obviously.
Yeah.
Rockhampton. Yeah.
Up in the north.
Yeah.
Nice.
And anywhere in between. Yeah. But so if any club was looking to hold a seniors event, they don't have to be limited to starting their age divisions at 60. We can actually start them off at 50. Yeah.
So technically, you are a senior if you're 50 plus.
Yep.
And then again, like I was saying, there are many different formats into one that you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's up to you as well. If you want to play a particular type of tournament, that's fantastic.
Yep.
Just get them out there, get them promoted, talk to Pickleball Australia seniors about how to promote and how to get it recognised. They don't all have to be sanctioned set, but they can be recognised tournaments so that they still get the support with racket, support with promotion, and then we move forward.
Yeah. On that, we have another seniors tour event happening at Yeppoon, which will be great. Yeppoon has got, at the moment, 8 dedicated pickleball courts, and they're currently another 6 being converted. So by the time their tournament, or their festival they're calling it, starts off with a seniors event on the first weekend, then has a coaching clinic for 3 days midweek, and then ends up with a QPT tour event as well.
That's great.
So they're starting their seniors age divisions off at 50. So anyone that's looking for a trip up to Yeppoon mid-year to escape the winter blues down south, if you're over 50 and want to have a crack at tournament play, Yeppoon's the place to go. In actual fact, we've got Karen Latonovic and her husband John, who's the president, and Calvin Rasmussen, they're all on the committee. We'll be interviewing them later on, so no doubt they'll give their tournament a plug. But if any club's thinking about wanting to apply for a seniors tour event, come on board. It's so fun.
Very exciting. And at this point, I'd just like to say thank you to the members of the Pickleball Australia Seniors Committee, Donna and Malcolm Selby, Terry and Fran Keeley, obviously Ron sitting here next to me, and Paul Boniface, who's down at Halliday's Point. They've worked tirelessly to try and get the committee functioning and make sure that the structure's in place so that it's something that will grow and develop in the future. And it was from the brainchild of some of those guys that really got this thing going. So congratulations for making it happen. And here we go with tournament number 1 of many to come.
Tournament 1, yes. Okay, let's see where this goes.